All right. Hi, everybody. Strap in for this one. Buckle up. We are in for a fun experience. We're in for a treat. Joining me on the bench is one of our amazing staff peoples, Deb Butte. And Deb is just an amazing human being, and she is just a little passionate about the work that we do and her role in it. So Deb, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come tonight.
So tell us about how long you've been here and what you do and why Denver Rescue Mission.
Yeah. I have been at the Rescue Mission for 8 years.
Wow.
I've been working in the city for 20. This has been a passion of mine since I was a teenager. So got to be exposed as a young person going out in abandoned buildings and down by the river. And it just has stuck because I saw some people really treat people with dignity. And I was exposed at an early age to really see that we're all the same. Mm-hmm. And before Jesus, we're equally loved, regardless of our stories. Yeah. And so that just was impressed upon me young. And I feel like that is the reason why I'm at Denver Rescue Mission, is I really get to integrate my values and work that feels like it matters on a day-to-day basis. I just am blessed that this is how I get to spend my hours in my life.
That's so true. So you talked about this really happening when you were young. So I'm assuming you grew up in a family then that really valued serving people and seeing people as God sees them? Or not?
I had a fantastic mother, but she was probably not thrilled at what I was doing when I was in high school.
Yeah, you were going out to the river.
Right. But a youth pastor exposed me to this. And so I think she trusted him. And so I think she and my family have really caught on to understanding the complexities of people that have a different experience than us. And I am really thankful that for many, many years of my life, I have been able to enter into people's stories with just rather than a posture of thinking I understand it all. Yes. There's a lot that we don't understand.
Yes, yeah. And that's what makes our work so impactful, is when we meet that person with some curiosity, right? And without judgment, and we position ourselves in a posture to listen, right? To listen to their story, how they got here, to help them feel known and loved, valued, listened to. And just from my seat, hearing and watching your work and hearing about it, excuse me, that's how you show up every day. Mm-hmm. It really is. Yeah. And it's also infectious because it infects your team and the other teams around it. So how do you keep that up every day?
Well, I just mentioned in a group that I was in today, I think there is opportunities all day long to look for what's funny. There is always something funny. We can laugh a lot.
Right.
We have to laugh a lot. We will cry a lot in this work.
Yeah.
We have to be able to laugh.
Yeah.
And so to be encouraging our teams and to be encouraging ourselves to see what's funny. I also think my faith makes me believe that there's hope. There's a verse in the Bible that says, always be ready to give an account for the hope that is within you. Yeah. And so I think we are a people that can communicate. There is always hope. Yeah. God is doing some cool stuff. So I really, truly believe that. Yeah. And then I just think people are fascinating. So being with people is just always being exposed to some crazy movie that you've never seen before. Yeah. And so I just think there's a spirit of like, what's this story?
I know.
That's a fun part of the work that keeps me involved in it.
Yeah, yeah. And I've often said, when I retire, I'm going to write a book about mission work, and the title's going to be, You Can't Make This Up, right? Because the best writers in Hollywood cannot write the things that we see and experience. Right. So you talked about funny. Do you have a story or two of something really funny that you want to share?
Oh, boy.
Or that you can share?
Right. I have so many stories. I am not prepped right now with a funny story, but I was just telling someone today, there's a gentleman that we housed after, I think he was homeless 15 years. And she was telling me about the staff went and saw him in his apartment today. And he was a gentleman that I was eating downtown in our Lawrence Street community center. And I sat down to have dinner with him, and he sat down with me. We had been in line together, and I started eating, and he said, well, shouldn't we pray? I was like, oh, that would be a good idea. Let's pray. And I, assumed that I'm the staff member, so I'll pray. So I was about to start praying, and he started talking like, oh, good, put me in my place. This is not necessarily just my role. And he said, Lord, would you have mercy on me, a sinner?
Oh, wow.
And I thought, let me sit and learn from this gentleman. So I think that is just a common story of let me sit and learn, because people expose you just amazing resiliency and perspective.
They really do.
And
Yeah.
So, but I have some good stories. I got to take some time to edit. So that's probably not one to spring on me.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with that. Yeah, that was kind of a surprise question. So, one of your major roles here is with the complex case team. And I find that to be fascinating, to be humbling. And I'd love for you just to explain what that is and how it is that you and your team go about that work.
Yeah. I tell a lot of young people as they're looking at what they want to do in their career, where does your eye go? When you hear the news or when you watch a movie, or, what population does your eye go to? This is my group. I just feel energized by this work. And so I really feel like we're doing innovative work that is becoming more and more necessary in our nation. A report came out in 2023 for the Health and Human Services Department. And the research had shown that those 55 and older were the largest demographic that were entering into homelessness in the nation.
Yeah.
And the more things I'm at, the more people I'm talking to, this is what everyone is talking about, are this aging population that's struggling with a lot of disabilities, a lot of complex needs, a lot of just realms of barriers to being stably housed. And so there's this we have this complex case team that's wonderful, and that is really being recognized around the city as a group that is getting stuff done. And I think there are so many services to people. We have a lot of things that are available to people, but that connective tissue of getting one thing to work takes get all of the parts that answering mail, signing documents, submitting documents, doing it on time, doing it in order. All of that is things, our complex cases actually out in the city, in cars with people, sitting in appointments with people, knowing what do they have to do next in order to move to the next step. And so we have seen a lot of people start to engage with us and say, I've tried this before, this will never work. And when it actually works, they're in shock. Because we can get stuff done if we do it alongside them, just like I do it alongside my mom. Right. There's so much I do alongside my mom as a 90-year-old woman that our case managers are doing with clients that don't have anyone to get from step one to step two to the finish line.
Yeah, and that's so important. And I know your team takes referrals from all around the city. Like, who are some of the referral source, the places that we take referrals from?
Yeah, we have referrals from over 120 organizations in the city right now.
Yep.
I would say a lot of hospitals are referring clients to us, of people that are circling through the ERs, that they want to kind of break that pattern. So, that is really significant work just for the taxpayer to save the taxpayer on those kind of crisis services. But we're working with everyone from the mental health centers to the VA, to the jails, to the police departments, to the Office of Hosts that is, doing a lot in the city to work with homelessness. But really, it's a broad gamut of organizations that are in the city that are referring into our team saying, hey, can you come help us? We're stuck with this with trying to understand what to do to help this person.
Yeah, and I think you just hit on it, right? What maybe not everyone understands is when we're talking about the people that you're working with, we're talking about the hardest cases to work with. Yeah. The cases that have not been successful, and oftentimes haven't been successful for years on end, and yet your team comes alongside them and is having great success.
Yeah, these are people, we're finding that people are referring to different groups, either very, very old people struggling with cognitive impairment that are just entering the homeless system, so let's work on getting them out quickly, or people that have been in the homeless system for over a decade.
Chronically homeless, and over a decade. Well, and and as you were talking too, some of the work that you do is getting people birth certificates and IDs, and I've never experienced homelessness, and I don't know where my birth certificate is. I can't imagine living out on the streets, being unsheltered, and having to keep track of documents like that if I ever even had them. And then you guys have to go through the hoops and hoops and hoops that it takes to just get somebody documentation.
Absolutely. We all think of if there were a fire, where do we go? And I know for many, many years, mine was in my mom's safe in her basement. Right? But what if you don't know where mom is? Right? But another thing that I will say that's been a huge success with this team in really getting things done is we have some really great collaborations where we cannot do this alone. But there have been people saying, this is a big need, and this is a group that has put a process together that actually works, and so have signed up. Rocky Mountain Human Services, Denver Human Services, Colorado Access have just been meeting with us every week saying, what do we need to do to come alongside you to make this work? Because we can't do it by ourselves.
That's right. It takes the entire community. All right. We have a question from somebody on YouTube, and the question is, how are you connecting guests with needed health care?
Absolutely. It's probably one of our first steps that we do with clients, both healthcare and mental health care, for two reasons. One is we want to help the clients physical and mental health, right? We want them to feel better. And so we want to get them to connected to providers to begin addressing some of those health needs. The other thing is, in order to get people connected to stable supports, they need documentation. And so we're with them at those doctor's appointments saying, hey, this is actually the form we need filled out. And can you fill it out on this line? And, make sure that the right boxes are connected so that when we turn it in, we don't have to come back and have someone fill it out again. So those are things that it's really hard to know when you're in the system, to know how the system works. And so really helping people get that health care need, but also to get the documentation that helps with other needs.
Yeah, and I was struck as you were answering that with what you said a few minutes ago about how you help your mom. And oftentimes, I don't know about you, but I'll go to the doctor or I'll go somewhere for treatment or whatever, and I'll see somebody helping probably their mom or their dad navigate the system, and that's exactly what you do for people that don't have anyone to help them navigate that
and
system.
I would say our systems are built on that kind of help, right?
Yes.
But what do we do for the hundreds of people that have no one? And unfortunately, that's a hard reality of some people have no one.
They have no one, and life wasn't meant to be lived alone. Right. And particularly when we're in a situation or get to an age where we need that help. And I think that's what oftentimes, sort of, as much as we laugh, to your point, sometimes we cry. And I think one of those things that breaks my heart is thinking about that 65-year-old that's all alone, that has never been homeless before, and maybe they're 70 and their spouse just died after a cancer diagnosis, and they have no one, and they can't pay the medical bills, and they find themselves homeless for the very first time. I can't imagine the fear that they would have.
Absolutely.
And it just makes what you do so important.
And that so much is connected with technology now.
Yes.
And so we have a whole population that feels completely unprepared to know how to navigate that system.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm relatively intelligent, and I struggle with technology from now to then. And you have to run to my kids or to some of the younger people that work here and say, how do I do this? But again, it's that common theme of, but what if you don't have that help? And I think that's why we exist, right? Because God has called us to feed those people that are hungry, to welcome in the stranger, to walk alongside those people that are lonely and isolated, that need help and don't have it. which is a cool calling.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a wise population that it has a lot of life experience. It feels like it's really a give and take relationship with as our case managers are out in wheelchair vans with, clients of, they're sometimes in the van with an 80-year-old,
That's
and
right.
so getting to, get the experience, the wisdom of their experiences.
Yeah.
And because we have a lot of hours with them.
You do have a lot of hours with
Yeah.
them. And, and that even means something to them, right?
Yes.
That somebody is listening to them,
Yeah.
right? Because oftentimes, even as family members, sometimes we just tune out. Oh, there's grandma telling the same old story.
Yeah.
And what does it mean to somebody to have somebody that is just there for them?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
there for them.
I think something else that I'm just excited about this team is because it is feeling, when I talk to the community of providers, they're very burdened
Yes.
by what they're seeing coming into their doors.
Yeah.
And for us as a people of hope to be able to say, we have some systems that we know work. And so making these connections and making these processes, there is hope.
Yeah.
So
if there's somebody that watches this at some point and they're wondering, what can I do, right? Homelessness is this big problem. What can I do? And certainly we know volunteering, and we've talked a lot about that already. But if somebody just feels sort of that tug on their heart to do something, what would you suggest?
Boy, another conversation that's happening in the nation is one of the biggest epidemics we're having is loneliness.
Right.
I think there's a lot of your next door neighbors that are really, really lonely.
Yeah.
And they likely will stay housed. But some of them might not with some of those supports. And so I think really checking in to see how are people really doing and what just simple things can we do to help people stay not just stably housed, but stable as people. And I think we need to check in on each other. It's much easier to trim my shrubs than it is to check in on my neighbor, right?
Or to drive into your neighborhood and to open your garage and drive your car into the garage and shut it and never talk to anyone.
Yep. And yet I think people are longing to actually have someone ask, how are you really?
Yeah. I know in my mission career, one of the hard lessons I learned was I'd see somebody get put into an apartment, right? And you're like, yes, they're finally out of homelessness and they have an apartment and they're there, only to have them choose to leave a couple of short months later. And I've had these personal conversations and said, I don't get it. Why did you leave?
Yeah.
And their answer is loneliness.
Absolutely.
Like they're like, at least my friends are here.
Yeah.
At least I have my friends. Now I'm in this apartment. I'm staring at 4 walls. I have no one to talk to. I have no one to interact with, and I'm lonely. So I choose to leave that setting to go back where I have community.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why, to your point, even with neighbors that may not be experiencing homelessness, part of this solution is to make sure we don't only find the house or the apartment, but we also help people find community.
Yeah.
So we can combat that loneliness.
Yeah. I've heard the term, the silence is deafening.
Yeah. And those 4 walls can be really loud.
Absolutely.
They really can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man. So, if there is somebody that is watching this and they're going to college and they're thinking about whether or not they want a career in this kind of field or in any human service field, what advice would you give them?
Oh my goodness, come join us. This is so much fun.
That was a softball question. Go on, I'll let you keep going.
This is such fun work. I mean, every day is different, and every day is a surprise and a learning experience and an adventure. And it is what is the full Monty? When someone says the full Monty, what is it? That's what comes to my mind of like, it's a little bit of everything.
Is that what it means?
I don't know what it means. Someone, maybe one of the people could write us and say,
they'll
what
put
is
it on
the
the
full
screen
Monty?
And they'll say, this is what a full Monty is.
But in my mind, it is a bag of everything. And again, I think I'm spending a lot of hours doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy with how I'm spending my life.
Yeah.
When this is all done for me, this is going to feel like it was worth it.
But that's a long way down the road.
That's a
long way down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of people we still need to help.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So one of the places I like to get to toward the end of these things is to ask from your perspective. We know that it takes an entire community. So from your perspective, what could our community do better to have even more impact?
Well, I think when I am in the different locations and I see our volunteers, which we just had one here.
Yep.
I think I'm just really thankful when people care.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so much to care about, right? And then we get care fatigue. And we tend to not care about things that don't touch our own personal lives.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so I think there is a little bit of, I am worn out by the needs of the world, but can I lean in and try to be careful to not stop caring?
Yeah.
Because there is I'd like to create a self-protective layer around me because it becomes too much, and I think people have to be aware of that. But I think when you're really involved in the work, then it doesn't become something on a screen or a social problem to solve or this gigantic issue to resolve. I think it becomes about Joe, who's standing in front of me, who likes the song that's on the radio because it reminds him of his cousin when they were on the boat when they were 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that becomes a joy.
Yeah.
That person standing in front of me with that, comment about the song doesn't become this emotionally draining thing that I can't take anymore. It becomes this personal thing that I get to actually be involved in. And I also think a lot about like all of the crises that have gone on throughout all of world history. There were always the helpers.
That's right.
In there doing something.
Yeah.
And I get to be one of those.
Yeah. That's my favorite quote from Mr. Rogers is, when bad things happen, look for the people that are going to help.
Yeah.
Right. And you and I are blessed that we get to be the people that are helping.
Absolutely.
And you're right. Compassion fatigue can be real. But when I was a camp director, I used to tell this story about, there was a story about this old man who was walking along the seashore, and there were like thousands of starfish that had washed up, right? And he bends down and he throws one in. He bends down and he throws one in. And this younger person sees what he's doing and walks over to him and says, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm saving these starfish." And the younger person says, "There's thousands. You could never make a difference." And the old man bends down. He picks up a starfish. He throws it in. He looks at the boy and he says, "I made a difference to that one." And, and our calling is not to... We can't, Denver Rescue Mission can't help everyone, but our calling, our purpose for being here is to make a difference to that one.
Absolutely.
And then the next one.
Yeah.
And you and your team do that so well. And I have to just tell you that it is an honor and a privilege to tell people that I work with you and your team, because the work that you do is simply amazing. And even more than that, the heart that you do it with and your why. So thank you for all that you do. Yeah. Thanks for joining me on the bench. And believe it or not, we're out of time.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
So see, that wasn't so hard.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Deb.
Yep.
All right.